Banks do not make money when you pay off your debt. They make money when you almost pay it off, and then don't. That one sentence explains more about the modern financial system than any economics textbook ever will. This is the wealth code. Stay until the section on wealthy people, because I'm going to reveal one specific cognitive pattern that separates people who build wealth from people who fund someone else's. In 2023, the Federal Reserve reported that Americans carried over $1.08 trillion in credit card debt. That is not a typo. 1.08 trillion. But here is the number that should stop you cold. The average American household pays over $1,300 per year, just in credit card interest alone. Not principal. Not purchases. Just interest. A study published in the Journal of Marketing Research found that people spend up to 83% more when paying with a card versus cash. Dražen Prelec at MIT ran the original experiment. He auctioned sports tickets. People literally bid twice as much when using credit cards. Twice as much. For the same seat. The system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. You were not bad with money. You were engineered to be. Every swipe, every minimum payment, every 0% introductory offer, these are not conveniences. They are precision instruments. Designed by behavioral economists, tested on millions of people, and refined over decades to extract maximum revenue from your psychology. The credit industry does not have a product. You are the product. Your financial anxiety is the raw material. And your hope, that next month you will finally get ahead, is the fuel that keeps the engine running. Let's talk about the science. Because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Behavioral economists call it pain of paying. Richard Thaler, Nobel Prize winner, identified that cash transactions activate the insula, the part of your brain that processes physical pain. Credit cards suppress that activation almost entirely. No pain signal. No spending break. Just frictionless consumption. Then there is status quo bias, the human tendency to accept whatever default option is presented. When your credit card statement shows a minimum payment, your brain anchors to that number. It feels like the right amount. It feels like compliance. It is compliance. Just not to your benefit. Dan Ariely at Duke University studied how people make irrational financial decisions when anchored to arbitrary numbers. The minimum payment is not calculated based on what you can afford. It is calculated based on what keeps you in debt the longest while appearing manageable. That is the architecture of the trap. Then loss aversion kicks in. Kahneman and Tversky proved that losses feel twice as powerful as equivalent gains. So banks frame debt elimination as losing spending power, not gaining freedom. Paying off your card feels like giving something up. Keeping the balance feels neutral. Neutral is where they want you. This is not about one greedy banker in a tall building. This is systemic. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, these are not payment companies. They are data and interest companies. Interchange fees alone generated over $100 billion in 2022. That is money extracted from every transaction, paid by merchants, passed to consumers through higher prices. You pay the fee even when you use cash. Because the store baked it in. The FICO credit scoring system, created by Fair Isaac Corporation, is built on a paradox that almost nobody talks about. To have a high credit score, you must use credit regularly. To use credit regularly, you must carry accessible debt. The system literally rewards you for staying inside the debt ecosystem. Leave the ecosystem, pay everything cash, avoid all credit, and your score drops. Then there are the credit card rewards programs. Points. Miles. Cashback. These feel like the bank giving you something. They are not. Federal Reserve research shows that rewards cards redistribute approximately $15 billion per year, away from low-income non-rewards users toward high-income rewards users. The people who need the most help are subsidizing the perks of people who need it least. And the financial literacy gap is not an accident. A 2021 TIAA Institute study found that people with higher financial literacy carry less revolving debt. Banks know this. They lobby against mandatory financial education in schools. J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, all major contributors to political campaigns that have quietly gutted consumer financial education initiatives. Ignorance is not a bug in this system. It is a feature they protect. Retention peak. But here is the part that will actually change how you see money. The minimum payment was invented in the 1970s. Before that, credit cards required full monthly repayment. Banks lobbied to change this, not to help customers manage cash flow, but because they had discovered something extraordinary. A customer who pays the minimum is worth more than a customer who defaults. And far more valuable than a customer who pays in full. They gave this customer a name inside the industry. They called them a revolver. Someone who revolves a balance indefinitely. Here is what revolving does at a 24% APR, the current U.S. average. A $5,000 balance paying only minimums takes approximately 17 years to clear. You pay back over $10,000 in total. On a $5,000 debt. The bank doubled its money. From your money. Using time as the weapon. But the truly chilling part, the part that should make you put this down and think, is that banks use predictive analytics to identify which customers are about to pay off their balance. And then they send them a new offer. A higher limit. A better rewards tier. A balance transfer deal. Not to reward you. To reset the clock. You were never meant to escape the revolving door. The door was built to spin forever. Here is what decades of studying wealthy individuals reveals, and it is not what most people expect. Wealthy people use credit cards more than anyone. But they use them with a specific cognitive frame that most people never develop. They treat the card as a 30-day float on money they already have, not as access to money they do not have. The distinction sounds simple. The compounding difference over a lifetime is enormous. Morgan Housel, in The Psychology of Money, identified what he calls the gap between wanting and having. Wealthy people consistently spend below their income capacity. Not because they are disciplined in a conventional sense, but because they have fundamentally redefined what enough means. They are not suppressing desire. They have replaced it. There is also a daily ritual that rarely gets mentioned. High net worth individuals, consistently, across multiple wealth psychology studies, review their finances in real time. Not monthly. Not when the statement arrives. Daily. Even briefly. This is not obsession. It is what researchers call implementation intention, the science of making behavior automatic through consistent environmental cues. When you see your balance daily, you cannot pretend it does not exist. Denial requires distance. Proximity destroys denial. Wealth is not built on income. It is built on the elimination of comfortable lies. 1. Destroy the anchor. When you see your minimum payment figure, cover it. Calculate and pay a fixed amount, ideally 3 to 5 times the minimum, every single month without variation. Research from the University of Michigan shows that fixed repayment commitments reduce total debt faster and lower financial anxiety simultaneously. The bank chose your anchor. You need to choose your own. 2. Install friction deliberately. If credit cards cause you to overspend, make them harder to access, not impossible. Freeze them literally, place them in a container of water in your freezer. This is not a joke. It is a friction technique endorsed by behavioral economists including Thaler himself. The 30-minute delay required to thaw the card breaks the impulsive spending loop almost entirely. 3. Audit the rewards illusion. List every rewards card you hold. Calculate what you actually earned last year in real dollar value. Then calculate what you paid in interest, annual fees, or overspending relative to a cash baseline. For most people, this exercise produces a negative number. If your rewards program is costing you money, you are not winning. You are marketing yourself as a winner while losing. 4. Use the avalanche method with a psychological twist. List all debts by interest rate, highest first. Direct every surplus dollar at the top rate. This is mathematically optimal, but add one rule. Every time you make an extra payment, write down the total interest you just avoided paying. Not the principal you paid. The interest you escaped. This transforms repayment from sacrifice into victory, and behavioral science shows that reframing effort as achievement dramatically increases follow-through. The bank did not trap you in debt, they built a door with no handle on the inside, and called it financial freedom. Every structure we walked through today, the minimum payment anchor, the rewards illusion, the deliberate suppression of financial education, these are not coincidences. They are coordinated design. And the first step out is simply seeing them for what they are. Knowledge does not automatically change behavior. But you cannot change behavior you do not understand. That is why this channel exists. If this shifted something for you, subscribe, because tomorrow we go even deeper. Next, watch our video on why your salary will never make you wealthy, and the specific asset structure that actually builds generational money. It will reframe everything you think you know about income. This is the wealth code.